Okay. Okay. Okay, great. Great. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm ready to go over here to this BJ's. Are we the only ones in attendance in person?
How are you?
You know what? How could I be any better? It's county fair season. BJ's we showed Derek House till 10:45 last night.
I went to our fair
And,
drove here, which was 11 your time.
And I told Heath he was doing the milking this morning, and he's like, "Why don't you get up a little early and help me?" And I'm like, "No, that ain't happening. This is your project."
Yeah, our fair was, we had Riley Green and Morgan Wallen fair last night. It was pretty awesome. Record night, which was awesome. 2:30. Because you're an hour ahead of me.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just went to the fair, went to the concert, left the house about 10:30. Then we got 1:30 my time. It was worth it, yeah, because it was a record night at the fair. Most people ever attended.
Is that right? And that which Vanderbilt County?
We're in it's our 99th, that's our 100th.
Okay.
You ready? Okay, I'd like to call to order the July 25th meeting of the State Board of Education. Roll call, please.
Mr. Durham,
Present.
Dr. Ernest,
Here.
Dr. Freitas, Mr. Gastineau, Mr. Babes,
Here.
Mr. Miller,
Here.
Superintendent McCormick,
Here.
Ms. Moe,
Here.
Ms. Rentschler, you're closer, can you repeat?
Say it again.
I can't hear Brian. I'm present.
Mr. Walker, present.
Present.
Mr. Watts,
Here. Okay, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we approve the agenda, I would like to add new business action item D, a resolution regarding charter school closure protocols. And with that, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Sorry, I will pause on that. I apologize.
BJ, I have a question. I mean,
Okay.
I know this is not out of order, but we didn't ask for any comments, but do we have the resolution?
Yeah.
Was our team given that resolution?
It's right there.
Is this the first time it's here, or did we get this earlier?
Yeah.
Superintendent, do you? Discussion on the agenda?
Can the board explain what this is? I mean, what's the purpose of it? Just because I didn't know anything about it. Just curious.
This is a resolution outlining specific legal requirements that authorizers are subject to when dealing with the closure of a charter school that the authorizer has authorized. In addition to outlining those legal requirements, it states that the board is requiring that the authorizer, Daleville Community Schools, work with Indiana Virtual School and Indiana Virtual Pathways to ensure, if those schools were to cease operations, to ensure a orderly and smooth transition during the closure process.
Tim, I assume the quick nature of this, because we did just go this morning, is the fact that Daleville, either tonight or tomorrow, has said that they intend to close.
Yes, the Daleville Community Schools has scheduled a special meeting for this evening, and the subject of that meeting is to decide whether or not to revoke the charter for the virtual charter schools.
Okay.
So statutorily, is this just repeating statutorily, or is this giving more responsibility beyond statute to the authorizer?
This is specifically saying these are the statutory requirements, and we are saying that the board, if it's approved, is mandating that the authorizer follow those statutory requirements.
So help me through, why do we need a resolution for them to follow the law? I mean, what I'm just asking, I'm just asking, what's the purpose of this then?
The purpose, as with all resolutions, is to identify a specific issue that the board has determined that the need to identify their intent and their preference and their general decision-making that something should occur.
Okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Statement of the chair. I do not have a statement this morning. Board member comments and reports. Any board member comments? Once, twice. Public comment. Brian, do we have public comment this morning? New business. Action item A. I learn and I am cut scores. Good morning.
Good morning. We completed the standard setting process over the last 2 weeks for iLearn and IM. We had about 200 educators participating in that process, about 100 each week. As part of that process, the educators were recommending cut scores for the overall scales that are proposed for iLearn and IM based on the performance level descriptors that were approved by the board last year. We completed that process systematically using the bookmark methodology that was approved by our technical advisory committee over the course of 3 rounds. And then following the educator recommendations, those then went to our policy committee that was convened at the end of each of those standard setting meetings. So today we're presenting those overall scale cuts to be approved by the board.
Any questions by board members?
Question. During your process and as you got through like round 1 of the ordered item booklet, how much discussion did the panel have as they looked at those items? Because looking at these overall scores, it's really concerning. So what kind of discussion was there? Was there thoughts about what this looked like overall compared to our Indiana standards, compared to a national standard? If you
Sure.
could just kind of go through that.
Yeah. So as part of the overall process, in the bookmark methodology, there is a process where 3 rounds of discussion take place. So in round 1, we train the panelists to really review their ordered item booklet. The ordered item booklet is based on data reflective of Indiana students participating in the assessment, and the order is constructed of the items from easiest to most difficult. What the panelists do during round 1 is they take the performance level descriptor and they consider Indiana students in relationship to that content expectation. So round 1 is a content level discussion. In the agenda, we typically allow for that individual placement, and depending on the room discussion, sometimes it can vary between about 30 minutes or sometimes even an hour. We typically allow for individual placement, then we also have table conversations and then group conversations. And then the subsequent rounds typically allow for additional types of information to be presented to the panelists and for additional discussion to take place. Round 2, once that has transpired, they do receive benchmark references as well. And so we convened a policy committee to inform the process all along the way. For iLearn, the 2 benchmarks that were presented were existing NAEP data and also Smarter Balanced data, because a primary source of the iLearn assessment is based on the Smarter Balanced item banks. For IM, the policy committee recommended using NCSIC, which again is a consortia national type measure that existed, and Indiana was a part of it about 5 years ago. And then we also allowed the IM panelists to see the iLearn standard setting recommendations as well. So discussion transpired after each of those rounds, ultimately culminating in convergence as we made those recommended cut scores.
So I guess it's easy to assume then the conversation was what that just passing student really looked like, what they knew based off of the items that they took.
Yes.
during the test.
So in each of the standard setting processes, for iLearn, the panelists were setting 3 cuts. So they were trying to discern the content that was needed in between at proficient and above, and also approaching proficient and below. So when we left that conversation, we had 3 cuts in order to make the 4 levels, which are below, approaching, at, and above. And then for the IM standard setting, they placed 2 cuts. So the IM population, again, is the 1%. And so we don't have an above level that is defined for that assessment. So we have at proficient, approaching, and below. So the 2 cuts that were placed were between below and approaching and at.
Any other questions? Seeing none, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Durham?
Yes.
Dr. Ernest?
Yes.
Mr. Mapes?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Aye.
Superintendent McCormick?
Yes.
Ms. Moat?
Yes.
Ms. Rentschler?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. New business action item B, new school numbers. Is there any? Ron, do you want to give us an executive summary here?
No formal presentation. We received a request for new school numbers for across 6 schools in MSD Warren Township here in Marion County. And the recommendation is in your packet, with which the school corporation understands and does not contest.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Durham?
No.
Dr. Ernest?
Yes.
Mr. Mapes?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Superintendent McCormick?
Yes.
Ms. Moat?
Yes.
Ms. Rentschler?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Motion passes.
New business action item C, approval of the South Bend Empowerment Zone Chief.
Again, if you all have questions about how we got to this point or why this is an action item, happy to answer any questions related to the candidate and or the process, but you have the recommendation in your packet, which is to approve Dr. Cheryl Camacho as the Empowerment Zone Chief as selected by the Empowerment Zone Board in South Bend.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Durham?
Yes.
Dr. Ernest?
Yes.
Mr. Mapes?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Superintendent McCormick?
Yes.
Ms. Moak?
Yes.
Ms. Rentschler?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Motion passes.
New business action item D, a resolution regarding charter school closure protocols.
Yes, as previously stated, this resolution deals with Indiana Code 20-24-9-4.5, which governs the closure protocols for charter schools. The statute states in relevant part that an authorizer shall develop a charter school closure protocol, and that the authorizer shall oversee and work with the closing of the charter schools to ensure a smooth and orderly closure and transition for students and parents. Based off that language, the resolution states that if Indiana Virtual School and/or Indiana Virtual Pathways Academy cease operations for any reason, including decreased state tuition support, Daleville Community Schools is statutorily mandated to oversee and work with the schools to ensure a smooth and orderly closure and transition process to ensure all students are placed in a school in a timely fashion. I should say a new school in a timely fashion. It's further resolved that to the extent possible, the Indiana State Board of Education directs the Department of Education to assist the authorizer, Daleville Community Schools, in its efforts to place these students in new schools. Any questions?
Any questions by board members?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Durham?
Yes.
Dr. Ernest?
Yes.
Mr. Mapes?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Superintendent McCormick?
Yes.
Ms. Moak?
Yes.
Ms. Rentschler?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Watts?
Yes.
Motion passes.
With that, there is no more business in front of us.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
with great anticipation and excitement, at 9 o'clock, we will start the accountability panel. And then later on, we'll start the education dispute resolution panel. But with that, I would move to adjourn this meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. With that, we stand adjourned.